What is going on, everyone? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde here with this week's Notre Dame football show on YouTube. Pod Like a Champion for folks listening via podcast. Hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, we have some good topics lined up for tonight. I'm excited to yell at Tim about something. Tim, everything going all right in your world, my friend? I know it's a little crazy in the Hyde household, but
it's all good. It's like we say, Wednesday night we get together, talk football. Life is good every Wednesday at 8:00. So I'm excited, as I like to say, chit chat with everyone, have a great time, and enjoy a little life together. So
yeah.
Here we go.
Hashtag team chit chat. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks watching on YouTube, watching back, watching live, whatever it is, hit that thumbs up. I mean, let's get to what, 500? 500 should be easy. So please do help hit that thumbs up. Really helps support us, and it makes the YouTube like us more and get our videos out to more folks. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so yet to catch all of our content. Go to blueandgold.com. Of course, your home for Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. So, Tim, our first topic that we have lined up, and it's a recruiting heavy show. But we want to start with a football topic, and that would be these a couple lines came out for Notre Dame's bigger games for the season. I have it pulled up in a note. Okay, Notre Dame in this Ohio State game, September 23rd, right? Tim always talks about just everything is Ohio State. Notre Dame is, and again, this is a May line, right? It's the month of May, so kind of goes to show that there's not a ton to talk about in the world of Notre Dame football. Recruiting is a different discussion. Have lots to talk about with recruiting, but just the Notre Dame football team, yeah, it's slow. It's May. Notre Dame's a 7-point dog at home against Ohio State. What was your first reaction when you saw that, my friend?
Okay. I mean, literally, I was fine with that. I mean, it's Ohio State, right? It's Ohio State. That's the way I look at it. And you just look at personnel, bodies, a lot of highly ranked dudes on that football team come into South Bend where they won before, 96. And Notre Dame hasn't beaten them since the 30s. So it's not a shock. I know people will talk about, they lost their quarterback. Yeah, and they did when JT Barrett left. They did when, Fields left. They did when Haskins left. Now it's Fields, right? Not Fields, excuse me, Stroud. So it's like, okay, who's up next? And a couple of blue chip top 100 guys battling.
So that's okay in Ohio State football.
What do you mean?
When it comes to Notre Dame at quarterbacks,
Whoa. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? As far as what?
My whole thing, you and Goolsby kept saying
next in line guys.
Yeah, no, you can't do Hartman for a year because you have to get Goolsby Buckner. I mean, I guess they are kind of family at this point. They got to get Buckner experience because then, if Buckner transfers out, you got Angeli and Minchie. They don't have any experience, whatever it is. But it's okay at Ohio State, but not at Notre Dame. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but they do get their guys' experience because they score 70 points in the games. They're supposed to score 70, and guys do play. Notre Dame hasn't had a lot of those games, so there's a little bit of that. But no, I mean, they've just had a constant lineup. And then more importantly, what's really nice, Mike, is when you're a brand new quarterback.
Yeah.
Is it nice to throw to 5 or 6 top 100 dudes, handful of 5 stars? I mean, my God, they've had 5 stars transfer because they can't get on the field. And then
Notre Dame had Jordan Johnson transfer.
Exactly. There you go. But they didn't replace him with Cornell Tate, by the way, who absolutely just dominated spring ball. So he's going to play a ton this year. That's going to be fun to watch. But no, Ohio State, a touchdown favorite. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But there are going to be a lot of tune-ups. It's going to be as long as Notre Dame. I know everyone's got the Marshall, Stanford. We won't get it out of our system. This is going to be a top 10 matchup. Both these teams are going to be undefeated, top 10. Game day is going to be there September. It is going to be a Super Bowl. And why I've been calling it a massive game for Notre Dame, which it is, and for Ohio State.
Obvious, yeah.
Because they may never do this again. with the extended playoff, why, with the super conference the Big Ten is, why did Ohio State's not going to schedule a preseason, non-conference game against Notre Dame in the future? I would be surprised if Michigan cancels those as well down the road, so this may be it unless they play in a playoff game.
Yeah, sure. And I was just kind of trolling you earlier as
I
usual.
know you are.
Tim has really
by the way,
come out of his troll shell and recently. He's always giving me crap about something. And
because Ohio State did get a transfer in Justin Fields, right? He transferred. But was that 2 years or for a couple months? I forget. It's 2 years.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was 2 years. Most of all these big time quarterbacks that have transferred have been All-Americans. These NFL guys, they've all been multi-year guys. So Hartman could be the first one.
Yeah. All right. And then what was it? USC game, Notre Dame, just a 1-point favorite.
Ooh.
What's your reaction there, Tim?
Yeah, when I saw that, it was just like, all right, it's a pick 'em. That's pretty much what those guys are saying. It's a pick 'em. I saw SC schedule. It's cupcake. It's soft and buttery until Notre Dame. I believe afterwards they got all the heavyweights afterwards in the Pac-10, 12, whatever the heck it is these days. And it's going to be their last year in that conference, so that's going to be interesting to see how that wraps out. But it's a pick 'em game. It's probably us trying to see what is SC going to do with these transfers. Did they improve on defense? Caleb Williams is obviously a freak, but it's not bad. Take it, right? Notre Dame wins by 1, 28-27. We'll take it right now, correct?
Yeah.
That'll be a fun post-game show if it's 28-27. We'll take it.
That would be a split at that point. But yeah, you would take that for sure.
Yeah.
And then Notre Dame, a 4.5-point dog at Clemson, November 4th.
Yeah, this one is something I saw. I could be wrong on the numbers, obviously, but I think they're 60-3 in the last 10 years, whatever it is at home. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously, they lost to South Carolina last year, at the end of the year by 1 point. And I'm just like, I could see them being favored because it's November on the road.
Yeah.
How's Notre Dame? So this is that one made sense. 3-4 points, whatever would you say, 4.5? And then after the way they got smashed last year, I think those guys are going to be pretty hyped and fired up to play that game. And more than likely, that's going to be a night game as well.
Yep. A few comments here. Drunk Vigo says Ohio State is our most important game this season. You're really going out on a limb there. That's quite the bold call there. Shamrock Shenanigans says Irish beat SC by 20.
By 20.
I think our friend there is seeing the world through some blue and gold colored glasses.
They got
a little green tint in there as well.
Yeah, they got. They'll win by 20 if Miller Moss is at quarterback. Yes, they'll win by 20.
Hey, but from your lips to the Lord's ears, Adam asked, "What's the Duke line?" I think it's really just some of these marquee games that they release these super early lines for. They're not dropping the USF, SMU line. And
you don't have a Navy line yet.
No, that one I feel like could be because it's the Ireland game. But
hey, real quick, whenever we talked about the season, I always see Duke pops up. A lot of people worried about Duke. If I know it's Ohio State the week before, I get it. But man, no matter if they win by a touchdown, lose by a touchdown, you cannot lose the Duke in football.
Tim, I'm more concerned about NC State.
Oh no, I agree. That's going to be a bit. That's going to be a biggie. But Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got to have better football players. Got to have a better team. You got to handle business. You got to make that Columbus the Super Bowl. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If they stub it, that's why I keep saying if they stub a toe before Ohio State, you're looking at a 9-3-ish, 8-4 type of a season possibly. So not fun. Yeah.
All right. The next thing we wanted to talk about is kind of getting into the headline of the show is looking at the I'm trying to pull up the story here. Notre Dame going after Rhode Island defensive back transfer Antonio Carter II, 6'1", 200 pounds. Interesting, Tim, as we record this, was able to confirm that Carter was got to Notre Dame today, or as we record this. I don't know if people watching back or listening via podcast, might be Thursday by the time you're watching this or listening, but got in Wednesday. Source told me, and then this story from On Three's Matt Zenitz Wednesday morning did say that picked up offers from Florida and LSU earlier this week, and it does look like he's visiting LSU in Florida later this week. So that's kind of the update on Antonio Carter. When Notre Dame offers a guy from Rhode Island, what's the initial reaction? Or not, he's from Orlando, but played at Rhode Island. Oh, we're offering, it's like it's an equivalent to Notre Dame offering a 2 or 3 star prospect.
I agree.
But guys, his offer list is nuts. I mean, I don't know if it's in this story, but
no, his film. You go watch his highlight film and whatnot. The guy could play. He could play physical. He could run. All those things. Look at a lot of FCS guys. There's a handful transferred up and gotten drafted, and then next year, a possible first round pick is that Florida State guy who went from I call it always 1AA. It shows my age, but he went from FCS to Florida State, had like double-digit sacks this year. But Verse, whatever his name is, I think really good defensive end. So there's a handful of guys that have moved up. It's good football, And this conference, by the way, the CAA is probably the premier one in FCS. It's really good football. But he's good. The people are like, oh my God, people are like, oh, we're recruiting Rhode Island. Like, he didn't play football in Rhode Island. This guy's a Florida guy.
You can talk. I don't care what division he played at. If he can play, he can play. And this is his offer list as a transfer portal player: LSU, Florida, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Washington, Iowa, USF, Wisconsin, Indiana, Oregon State, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Minnesota, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, SMU. This is not a Rhode Island caliber player. That's why he entered the portal with 2 years of eligibility as a grad transfer, and it has everyone after him. This is the ideal transfer situation for Notre Dame. You get the 2-year guy, unless Notre Dame wants a 1-year rental at a certain spot, then sure, you'll go do that. But like we were just talking about with Justin Fields, you get 2 years of Justin Fields. Antonio Carter, you get 2 years from him. Now, would he stay both years if he's really good? Does he go to the NFL? Maybe, but that's a good problem to have, right, Tim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the same thing with Brandon Joseph. Brandon Joseph was a 2-year guy originally. He had 2 years. He chose to leave after one. Probably not a good decision since he went undrafted, but, same thing with this young man. I'll be honest. I read that article earlier, and I was like, oh, boy. Because my first instinct with this guy is really good football player, but he's from Florida, correct? So he's from Florida, gets offered by Florida, says that's his dream school. So I'm just doing the math here, and it's like he just spent 4 years in New England. Does he want to spend another year or two in South Bend, or does he want to go play in the sun? It's like, So if he comes to Notre Dame, I think it would be a big upset that they pulled and got him away from the SEC, because you read between the lines, it's Notre Dame or the SEC for this kid.
Yeah, and we have a Notre Dame versus the SEC trend in today's show. As we headlined and put in the thumbnail and everything. This would be a huge get. Yeah, I think one of those SEC schools is probably favored for him, but good thing that oftentimes, in recruiting, we think it's just about logic, and it's not. Like, Jaden Osbury has no business being at Notre Dame if you're just going to look at the logical side of things. His dad works at LSU. The kid's like grown up. What?
I would say the opposite. If you grow up somewhere,
sometimes
you want to kind of
sometimes, yeah, sure,
get away. And
sometimes
he's like, I've been going to high school on this campus. Why do I want to spend?
Sure. Then if not LSU, then you're going to Bama or something like that. Not
Auburn, right?
Notre Dame.
At Auburn, yeah,
or Auburn. Yeah, his brother's at Auburn, something like that.
I hear you.
There's tons. Deion Colsey. Are you kidding me? Kid goes to school across the street from Georgia Bulldog. So Notre Dame is one of those special places. So you just never know. Like, Notre Dame is one of those schools that, might be behind, but if they visit, you just never know with Notre Dame. It's like any given Sunday kind of, or any given Saturday kind of deal.
Oh, I agree. That's why I'm like, okay, logic says Florida SEC, but maybe he likes the cold, right? Maybe he likes wearing a lot of hoodies in the winter, and maybe he's a fan of that. So we'll see. But he's a really good football player. Anyone downplaying him, his athleticism, no, he's a legit football player.
Okay. And just real quick, Tim, thoughts on how that could impact the safety position if Notre Dame does land him, and maybe if not him, just as safety in general.
He's an athlete. Gives them an athlete who's obviously got a couple of years of playing experience. So definitely falls right into that. Obviously DJ Brown is 6th year, and you got Watson Henderson, and you add him into this mix. I mean, that's 4 experienced football players. Yeah, Harper. Yeah, I always just throw him in the nickel, but exactly. And then you got 5. So now you could play, your dime. Now you could easily have 3 true safeties on the field in a heartbeat. And then, Notre Dame plays, so much nickel, which is really, an extra strong safety, corner, whatever you want to call it. Bracey was, as he got older, but got a little bit bigger. So he'd be nice. He'd be a nice get for 2 years if he stays 2 years. So it would be huge, because then you don't have to force feed Schuler, who was out with an injury, Minich, who is, to me, is still raw, has a lot of learning to do and whatnot. You let those guys redshirt, get in a couple games, and you don't have to worry about them. You play these upperclassmen this season, which is awesome. And then the biggie is, if he comes and he's 2 years, bam, you got, all you lose is DJ Brown for 24, which is a great thing in that secondary.
On paper, at least.
Yes.
I always like to throw that out there. You never know with transfer portal. But Tim, is there safety looks like a spot that Notre Dame is looking at in the portal? Are there any other positions that you think Notre Dame should go and upgrade this spot after knowing what we know after following the conclusion of spring football?
No, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, believe it or not, I highly doubt they'll do it. It's just a running back. No matter what people say,
it's only 4.
Yeah, Estime. Estime's going to play this year. He's going to have 2 full years of film. Let's say, he's healthy and all that good stuff. We always, when we talk about guys, we're assuming they're healthy, obviously. It's a great year. He's gone. Payne is still, up and down. Obviously, he had to be the guy this year. Love, we don't know. He's a true freshman, so you don't know what true freshmen are going to do when they show up. Highlight films, you throw those away as soon as you step foot on campus. And then you have Jadarian, who's coming off an Achilles. So it's like, can't expect that guy to go out there and help you get 12 carries right now, especially, who knows what because he got injured in camp, correct, Mike? So last camp and in camp. So whatever that time frame is. So that's just one I would throw out with Diggs leaving. I know a lot of people were like, oh, Diggs, not a big loss. Yeah, he is. He played a lot of football.
I agree.
Football for 2
I agree.
He played as a freshman over Estime. Let's don't forget that. So, and then I'll be real quick, when people with Diggs or just running back in general, Estime is going to need a break, right? So who's going to protect Sam Hartman? You always got to think that pass blocking at those running backs. And we're going to have young guys. Notre Dame's going to have young guys who've never done it back there protecting Hartman at times this year. That is going to be, it's one of those hidden thing, no one's really talked about that scenario yet with pass blocking.
So you think Estime and Diggs, that would have been a pretty good running back pairing for Notre Dame? Just yes or no?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay, just Logan Diggs a plan B, and Audric Estime the plan G.
Both were playing. That's funny because you brought up the Estime thing. I didn't want to get into it last week, but it's like, why did they recruit Estime? Because Diggs was like already skittish out there. Remember when Diggs was? There was so much rumors about him not even signing. Or when he signed, he wanted to get out of it. Remember, he wanted to wait till like February, I think. He was always skittish.
LSU offered a week before signing day. Yes. Diggs signed on signing day, but didn't announce it until February or something weird.
Because he probably wanted to get out of that thing somehow.
No. Wasn't that?
Just use Eddie Vanderdoes with the grandma, and he would have been fine. But that's why they offered obviously Estime. And why was that? Because once again, it's COVID, and obviously they whiffed on a bunch of running backs ahead of them. So that's why. Thank God they did offer him, right? Whew. It'd be
I know those plan F guys, yeah, they end up being pretty decent, huh?
Well, you have to have a football team, so it doesn't matter if it's plan A or plan F or plan, plan T. You got to have football players.
Tim, I'm going to ask you one more thing before we go to super chats real quick. We get this YouTube comment. It's gotten a lot more recently. We've been, having you on our show or our YouTube channel for a couple years now. Do Tim Hyde and Mike Singer really not like each other? We've gotten that comment.
Why? First off, it's funny. I've seen that a few times. It's like, number one, hey, there's nothing wrong sitting around a bar, a campfire, and chatting. And who says you have to agree on every single thing in this world? That's just me. I don't like agreeing. I don't like being a parrot. I don't like saying what everyone says you should say. That's always been me. I've always been like against that a little bit. And then the other thing is, I love politics. I grew up watching Crossfire for all the old guys out there on CNN. You had, the right and the left, and you had one point and you broke it down and you enjoyed it. And it's like, that's just debate, talk, whatever it is. I don't even think we really debate. We just discuss issues of the day, so to speak. So I love talking, and easy as that.
Well, I don't like Tim Hyde, so moving on. No, I'm kidding.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean they're fun. We're yelling at each other, but Tim's a buddy. We have a good time. We'll yell at each other for 40 minutes, and after we're done recording, it's like, oh, what do you got to go on the rest of the night? It's kind of like one of those talk shows, like Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp yelling at each other. Then they're probably buddies after.
Exactly. Those guys have gone at it sometimes. So
all right, Trash, welcome. Trash. I feel like I've seen this username before, but welcome in. Says, I grew up with the notion if you have a losing season but still beat Notre Dame, then it's a winning season. Is that still true today, Tim Hyde?
All right. So not for Marshall, right? They won last year and obviously went to a bowl game. Was it a winning season for Stanford? David Shaw doesn't have a job, so I don't know how much, but since
maybe let's look at it from the fans' point. Like, I guess you can't really put yourself in a different fan base's shoes.
Hold on, if you're USC and you go, let's just look at Notre Dame 2016. If Notre Dame is 5-7, let's say they're 5-7, they beat USC the end of the season in the Coliseum. Is it a successful year? No, Notre Dame fans like, man, we beat SC 5-7, but we beat SC.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, maybe if it's an upset, like let's say Central Michigan. Central Michigan comes, upsets Notre Dame, the week before Ohio State, Notre Dame's sleeping. Central Michigan goes 5-7. Oh, I'm sure they don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to have fat heads of that Notre Dame all over their recruiting center.
Yeah, your mileage will vary on this one.
Yeah.
Like I know from our message board at blueandgold.com, please do sign up. $29.99 for 6 months. Great deal, $5 a month. There will be I'm like, if Notre Dame played Michigan every year and it was the last game of the year and Notre Dame was winless, but then they beat Michigan. I mean, they're sleeping well at night. For me, growing up as a Georgia Tech fan, in Atlanta, and everyone, I swear, everyone in this state roots for Georgia, and it absolutely drove me nuts growing up as a kid. Before I even got into college football, I hated it. That's why I picked Georgia Tech, because like everyone's a Georgia fan. I'm not going to be a Georgia fan. Screw that. I like Georgia Tech. And that's how I felt. Like, I don't care how this year went. Can you beat Georgia? And then it's all fine. So, but yeah, your mileage varies on that.
You know what? Quick 30 seconds on that is that is one of those rivalries, Mike. Those guys don't like each other. Tech and the Bulldogs when they play. I mean, there's been some classics in the past, and
it's so one-sided now that
it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah,
there's been some classics in that game.
Like, I'm also a Dolphins fan, and while the Dolphins have had some success over the Patriots in the Brady years, like Tom's had a lot of failures going down to Miami.
Yes,
I couldn't hate the Patriots because they were just so much better than us every year. It's like not even a rivalry if they're just winning Super Bowls, and the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game since I was like 8 years old. So, but Josh, this is a unique super chat. So is your next one. Shamrocks and Shenanigans says, I'm signing up. That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Love to see that. Trash also says, thoughts on the contract for NBC. And then he also asks the Notre Dame broadcast channel. Well, now it's kind of like a Big Ten broadcast
Big Ten.
channel.
Yeah, the Big Ten. I mean, you talked about, right? They moved their games to 3:30 this year so they could fit in those Big Ten games. So
yeah, so Notre Dame's always been the 2:30 Eastern slot. Who else plays at 2:30? Notre Dame could start their games at 2:30 because they have no one to compete against. Well, now the Big Ten, I don't know if you guys knew this, Big Ten's on the NBC.
Yeah.
So now Notre Dame's either playing 3:30 games, no noon games to my knowledge.
The only noon game they've done is like some Navy games, like in the
even the Ireland game I think is like 2:30 Eastern kick, and I think that's what 5. It's gonna be like 2:30 or 3:30 Eastern kick, which will be like 7:30, 8:30 over there in Ireland because it's 5-hour difference, I believe. So, I'm gonna guess Tim Hyde's take here is I don't care. Let's play football.
I mean, obviously we've read plenty of reports what they're seeking, what they're looking for, but the contract ends after 24 or after 25. I don't know. It's one of those. It ends really soon. So obviously they're out there just trying to get a fraction of that money, which is crazy. Is Maryland, Rutgers talking about, they could go 2-10, right? Rutgers could go 2-10, upset Penn State, and they're getting $90 million, Mike.
Yeah.
$90 million at Rutgers. So there you go.
The Notre Dame being on NBC thing, I think that was a cool thing for recruiting.
In 92, 93.
Yeah, decade plus. Even like the independent thing, if I ask a recruit, like, hey, maybe Notre Dame offers some random, recruit in Mississippi or something, and I'm asking, what do you know about Notre Dame? They're independent, right? In the independence thing's not really even important from a recruiting standpoint. NBC doesn't really matter, so it's a whole lot of whatever makes Notre Dame the most money to improve the football program. That's what we should be rooting for.
I agree, and I think that's what it's going to be. Whether it's NBC, CBS, Apple TV, I mean, whatever it is. So I mean, they're looking for a dollar amount, and whoever gives it to them, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, Hulu, Peacock, whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised if NBC just does it just so they keep that Big Ten, Notre Dame Big Ten.
Yeah,
whole
Midwest vibes. Yeah. Okay. And then one more thing, Tim. Where did you coach in LA? Why don't you tell little people about why you have any credentials? Why should we listen to Tim Hyde? So tell us about your coaching background a little bit.
Oh, God, it's been a long time. I actually just finished my 29th year coaching, which is fascinating. You start adding.
You're old as crap, Tim. That's what that means.
I'm old. I coached young and I'm coaching old. But I coached a bunch of junior colleges all throughout Southern California. Some really good ones. God, man, I've coached a couple All-Americans. I've coached. One of these days I need to just put together a list. My wife started one day, like, a couple dozen Division I, Power 5, SEC, Big Ten type guys, Pac-10 back in the day. Coached a handful of those. One year I had the number one player in Rivals. I was the position coach for him. That was awesome. Recruited the heck out of that kid. What's that?
What was his name?
Simi Cooley. People could look him up. Kuli. Back in 2007. Coached at El Camino Junior College, which was, one of the premier schools in probably in America. It's awesome. I mean, just crank out Division I guys. We had 1 year, Mike. We had a couple dozen guys. We were in the 20s 1 year with Division I players on our roster. So everybody coming by. Those are fun. Built a lot of great relationships. Met a lot of really good. I mean, you name it. I've talked to, I think, every coach that's ever coached with Bob Davie that have all scattered, and from Urban Meyer, Charlie Strong, and you name it, Kirk Dahl, Greg Madison, who's a bit, Mike Goolsby loves Madison. A lot of chit chats. People who coach with Holtz and the Davie. So a lot of good times in high school. I mean, a handful of really good high schools. The best high school I was at Crespi. I was defense coordinator at Crespi High School. Coached some really good football players. So one of them I was trying to get to Notre Dame, Marvell Tell, who went to SC. So he was stud. But obviously he had that allure to stay close to home, and that's what he did. Now he's in the NFL.
Yeah, and I used to, back when Tell was a recruit, I would call him and couldn't get in contact with him to do stories. I tried to call this guy Tim Hyde, and he never picked up. I'm kidding, but Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that happened. My memory's just not so good.
My biggest thing, real quick, is man, I've coached with John Mack, who's one of the winningest coaches in California history. He was St. Bonaventure coach for ages. Everyone remembers Lorenzo Booker. You should hear that. Give me an hour and I'll tell you guys a Lorenzo Booker story, why he didn't go to Notre Dame. That's a fascinating one. And coached with a gentleman who just passed a couple of years ago, John Featherstone, Hall of Fame coach in California junior colleges. Great coach. And Ken Swearingen, when he retired, was the winningest coach in junior college history. Had a great time coaching and learning from him. So I've been blessed wherever I've coached.
Just want to let the record be clear. Here I am trying to talk about Tim Hyde's credentials, and all he wants to do is talk about other people. Tim is selling himself short a little bit. Tim's
great coaches I've been around.
Tim was a great coach. That's my opinion. So those guys should be talking about you, Tim Hyde. How many of those guys have a prime?
You know what? It's funny because I heard, I know when God, I love talking to Goolsby, and just when you talked about the old days, or I send him film clips, and it's like with me coaching, the best thing is just when you get a birthday message from someone or someone says hi, some guys you've coached. So you get into coaching it's obviously just like recruiting in football, relationships, lifelong friends, all those things, and got a handful of those that I've coached, and been in a couple weddings with some players, which has been awesome over the years. And that's been a great joy as a coach.
All right, Tim, I'll let you take a quick water break as we hear from our friends over at Rogue Shop. And as of course, folks, it's the husband and wife outfit. You know them. You hear me read these ads each week. Mr. Rogue and his wife Shar are the craft cannabis farmers who specialize in small batch sustainable plant medicine, a true holistic type of small business. They farm and grow everything themselves and do everything by hand. As you can see, folks, on the YouTube screen here, or on your screen on YouTube, rogueshop.com is their website to visit. In the bottom of the screen here, you even have a chat function where you can get on and chat with the owners of the store. They sell everything from CBD, THC, edibles, tinctures, smokables, bath salts, pain creams, topicals, vapes, candles, soaps, and more. Check them out, rogueshop.com, if you have issues sleeping, chronic pain, and or have anxiety, stress issues, and use the promo code Bloom and Gold. That lets them know that we sent you, and you get 10% off your order. Again, use the promo code Blue and Gold. That's one word, no spaces. All right, Tim. So yeah, Notre Dame, going back to this Notre Dame versus SEC kind of topic we have going on today. Looks like Notre Dame's battling Florida and LSU for Rhode Island grad transfer safety Antonio Carter. And how about this, Tim? One of Notre Dame's recent commitments in the 2024 class, one of those Plan B or C type guys that Tim Hyde will talk about. Oh, just a little old Auburn is now offered him. And guess who else is really tracking him? I'm just shocked. It's not like I've been saying this was going to happen. Georgia and Alabama keeping a close eye on Isaiah Canaan from Warner Robins. Georgia, number 296 overall player, number 49 receiver per the On3 industry ranking. On3's own rankings have him as a top 100 player and the number 15 receiver. Two of the other websites have him as a 3-star, and ESPN has him 240 nationally. But On3 hates Notre Dame. Maybe not in Isaiah Canaan's case. Tim, do I have to yell at you about this? I don't know. I feel like you're just about to make me upset about something. So just what's your reaction to,
So Auburn, would Auburn have a losing record, fire their coach? So they offered. Okay, that's interesting. So that's good. So when you say tracking, what is I like that term, tracking.
Yeah.
Really on his social
my notes for the show, Tim, I said Georgia and Alabama are tracking him. I mean, they went and saw him during the spring evaluation period.
Now didn't he? He did visit Georgia, correct? I think I click on his recruiting the recruiting thing. Didn't he?
As he visited Georgia,
I thought he did. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just unofficial, obviously unofficial. Yeah, I saw that. So they probably sized him up and came out and saw him. There's a little spring evaluation. Georgia's,
I'm telling you, dude, these schools are going to offer him. I'm telling you, Tim. Do you want to wager?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. listen, do you think an SEC school wants Notre Dame to come down there and get a guy? No, of course not. So, hey, these guys all have boosters. These guys all say, I mean, they don't care if Isaiah Canyon's their third best wide receiver or the 15th. Don't send him to South Bend, because then he goes up there and loves it and wants to come out down here and get more guys. So, hey, I mean, this is the obviously no-brainer, what you talked about before. Like, he's going to get more. I mean, I think this whole thing started with him going to a camp, correct? He's been to a couple camps in the early winter, started getting his name out there, film, his speed, all those measurables. And obviously he plays at a high-end area of Georgia. So this was bound to happen. He's a corner, a receiver, a quarterback. He's just one of those athlete guys. So Notre Dame comes in there. I'm surprised it's taken this long. I mean, seriously, right? I'm surprised it's taken this long. Notre Dame offered him back in March. So,
I think fourth.
Yeah, 2 months, I guess. So, but I'm surprised Kirby Smart didn't get a call like, "What's Notre Dame doing down here in your backyard stealing a guy?" But Kirby's like, "I don't know. You see our roster?" But no, he's an athlete. This is not a shocker, and it's not a shocker. Alabama. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama goes after him just because of it's Alabama, right? Another Southern guy. Don't come down here and take these guys that could come play for us possibly.
I think something about this that people need to realize is that, like, we need to stop being so overreactionary about small, don't freak out about little things. When Notre Dame offers Isaiah Canyon, he's unranked. His other biggest offer is Indiana.
Yeah.
That was 2 months ago. Now he's a top 100 player per on 3. Florida State, Auburn. Yeah, maybe not the best schools right now, but won national championships much more recently than Notre Dame, right?
Exactly.
Pretty darn good football programs.
Yes, they are.
We need to just take it easy. Like, this was a darn good evaluation by Notre Dame, and with the information they had, it was actually pretty easy. They just took the plunge and offered early before everybody else. So it was just a really good recruiting job by Notre Dame. Then the Chancey Stuckey connection with both of those guys being from Warner Robins really helps. But folks, let's just not freak out. Like, if Notre Dame lands a 3-star type guy, do you think that Notre Dame is sitting around being like, yes, let's trick everybody by getting the guys with lower stars because you want lower stars? This isn't golf. You don't want that. Like, these guys they know they're coaching for their jobs every year at Notre Dame. Like, you need to recruit good players. Like, as Marcus Freeman shown, he's going to be lazy. Like, if you want to look at Brian Kelly era and be like, oh, those guys just took this 2-3-star kid just because it was the easy get for them. Has Marcus Freeman shown, like, is his staff shown that, like, whether it's me or Tim or really any other Notre Dame outlet, is anyone talking about this staff being lazy? Heck no, not anymore, because every coach on the staff Freeman hired, right? This is a Marcus Freeman staff, and to work for Marcus Freeman, you got to recruit your butt off. And this is a perfect example of Notre Dame offers Isaiah Canyon. Let's lose our mind because we need some talented receivers, but we're going after this no-ranked kid with Indiana being his next biggest offer. Look at him now. So let's just calm down.
With a guy like Isaiah Canyon, this goes back to our conversation last week. It really is. Notre Dame's offering so many guys so early. That's why I brought up the whole phase idea of the pot of gold really is where it starts. So Notre Dame is going out so far ahead. They're throwing all these names out there, and obviously those are the ones you watch, you monitor, you stick. You're writing about, they're visiting, things of that nature. But yes, there's a constant evaluation, especially now this spring. The spring evaluation. Notre Dame is even going out there, has offered someone, looking at possibly a few more. You've reported. You and Kyle, with the coaches on the road, I mean, they're still going out and visiting guys. I mean, Joe Rudolph's on the road visiting guys who are committed to other programs, just in case they need someone or whatnot. So it's still going on. That's what the whole spring evaluation period is from. I mean, I grew up in that era where no one really had an offer until your junior year. Spring is when they go on the road. Boom, they see you live. They already have your sophomore, junior film, but offers wouldn't go out till that junior year. Then you see your senior year. It's so sped up nowadays. Like, I mean, we're talking about 2025 guys. I mean, you've reported on 2026 quarterbacks, which is just crazy. It's just crazy with the portal transfers. Who knows? What's the odds of Gino Guidugli even being the quarterback coach in 2026? Slim to none. Notre Dame coaches move around, so the odds of him even being there is probably not even high. So here we are offering, but no, he's a good football player. I know we chatted and I brought up the whole Plan C and all that stuff, and he's a good football player. And I will give Singer some kudos. It doesn't matter when you get offered. If you could play, you could play. Yet, they did offer 20 some odd guys originally, as I like to say. What if a few of those had committed? Would we have ever heard of Isaiah Canyon? That's still a little debate we could have someday.
The what if games, Tim. I mean, that's what Tim Hyde likes to play, is the what if games.
What if Ryan Wingo, who Mike Singer put in a prediction for a year ago, committed? Where would Notre Dame be in the receiver room, right? So exactly. It's always what ifs. Exactly. It's always what ifs. Had they gotten this guy or that guy. But
what does that have to do with Canyon?
Oh, nothing. No, he's a good football player.
Okay.
Nothing to do with him. So, and now he's being looked at, or what'd you call it? Streamline? What'd you call it? Tracked? There you
go. You love that term.
I do. I don't know if I've ever heard tracking.
Listen, man, when I write those coaches on the road reports in the morning, it's like I would be so bad at my job if I was just like using the same words, like Coach X going to see player Y, Coach Z seeing player B. And it's just like, so I have to spruce up your vocabulary a little bit. So I'll use inquired, or checking in at this school, making a stop, dropping by, because you got to keep things fresh because it's 5 days a week. Kyle and I write these.
No, you do.
I'm on the road report. So yeah, I'm trying to use fresh terms, tracking, Tim. So
let's go to this last comment. Just real quick, Mike, where the gentleman says verbals mean nothing. They do mean something, because the odds of them sticking are a lot higher than not. History has proven that.
Did you see my comment?
What's that?
Did you see my comment where I said someone made the comment on the message board and I responded with, hey, these verbal commitments, they have a much higher rate of sticking than marriages in our country do. So let's calm down a little bit.
But it's true. It's true. It shows that. Obviously, he committed. I mean, let's also take a step back and realize he did commit to Notre Dame, right? He's from the Deep South. He's from Georgia. He's from SEC country. I'm sure Auburn just calling him last week wasn't the first time a coach has ever called him or his coach, right? He's at a big high school. The entire SEC goes through that high school to see who's there. It's what you do. So it's not the first time anyone's ever heard of Isaiah Canyon. So now that they're out there, I'm telling you, it is sometimes the Notre Dame thing. Notre Dame goes into someone's backyard, gets a guy. I mean, they feel it. Alums and especially boosters in the SEC, like, what the heck? This guy's going to Notre Dame. Why doesn't he have an Auburn offer? So those things do happen. But now it's going to come down to, boom, does he want to stay at Notre Dame? Is this what they're going to do? And Chauncey Stuckey's going to recruit the heck out of that kid.
Isaiah Canyon texted me during the show, actually, telling me the Notre Dame official visit date. And oh man.
Oh, that's good. So that's
he also sent me a clip of him. Let's see if we can watch this on the air. Let's see what we got. Man, the kid looks big. Can we?
There's some recent some recent photos. Are they in pads? They get pads in Georgia?
Oh yeah, man.
What a different world. Seriously. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. 3 days in shorts and t-shirt or whatever, and then you go full pads. Oh yeah.
Because Florida does too. I mean, Florida has spring.
Florida
jamborees.
We go the whole month of May.
Yeah,
Yeah, full spring game. Yeah.
Uh,
Look, Domer guy, they can be nothing to you, but the fact of the matter is that Notre Dame, like Peyton Bowen's commitment, right? They got Peyton to commit earlier than Peyton kind of planned to. Like Notre Dame's thought is we have a better chance to get this guy if we get him committed and get him in the family and all those things, connect with the other commits, get him in the group chat with the commits, all that stuff, than if they don't. You just have a much higher likelihood of signing with the school if you're committed there. So you can say, yeah, Keon and Bowen might have messed you up. Think about Jeremiah Love. Notre Dame had no business signing Jeremiah Love. I mean, the guy's an SEC running back. Like, you just look at his tape, the guy looks like he should be playing for Alabama or Georgia, and Notre Dame went and got him. Like, I mean, so there's a lot of, and those schools went after him. A&M went after him. Georgia went after him after committed to Notre Dame, and he stuck. So that's the thing. We all will focus on the guys who Notre Dame might lose who are committed, but we're never going to, man, look at Drake Bowen. Let's just all talk about Drake Bowen. No. If that's what people wanted to hear, then that's what we'd focus on. But you guys want to hear about, who might leave. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm kind of talking all over the place now. But
I mean, I was going to bring up Christian Gray. I mean,
Christian Gray?
Christian Gray had Ohio State, LSU. How many
USC?
Yeah, how many DBs is Ohio State and LSU just cranked in the NFL? Notre Dame corners? Who was the last Notre Dame corner first round pick? But Tom Carter in 93. It's a long, long time ago. So, they pulled him and they kept him away. I mean, my gosh, his high school coach is at LSU. LSU's playing in the SEC championship game. LSU's going to be preseason, top 10, highly ranked, all that stuff this year. And Notre Dame pulled him away from his high school coach. So, commitments do mean something. They do.
Tim, we are 47 minutes into the show. Where the heck has time gone? And then KM wants to get us started on a whole nother tangent by saying stars don't mean crap.
Actually, they do.
No, different.
Then why is Georgia and Alabama? I mean, what?
All right. Let's table that for next week. Tim, can you jot that down? We're going to talk about that next week.
Save that. Oh my gosh.
All right, we had a super chat.
Yeah.
From Domer Wap. Save it for next week.
No, because I've been doing research on some of the teams and whatnot, top 10 teams. Why?
Evidently, Big Ten and SEC entertaining no more Power 5 intersectionals as they move to a 9-game conference schedule. Thoughts on impacting Notre Dame independence?
Well, they're going to, I mean, there's no way SC is going to drop that, right? I actually read about this as well recently. Entertaining, meaning you don't have to, or whatnot. So, because they're going to go, so if you're playing 12 games, and this is what I always talk to people on the message board. People always like, oh my God, look at this, Ohio State, non-conference. Well, look at Notre Dame's non-conference. It's always Navy. You got Central Michigan. You got a 1AA. I like to look at Power Fives.
Yeah, all their games are non-conference, but
exactly. But I count Notre Dame's. But technically, Notre Dame.
You're like looking at their
conference. Their conferences are Power 5 games. When you really break down Notre Dame, Notre Dame every year is going to play 9 Power 5 games, so they keep up. So they always have one more than someone else, especially the SEC, which always has had 8. But now they're going to 9. The Big Ten is going to be 9. So if you're, Michigan, which is what Michigan's been doing the last couple of years, you have your 9, and then you're going to play Hawaii, UConn, and Central Michigan or whoever that, Eastern Michigan, whatever, they've gone soft. Ohio State's always played a MAC team. So now these schools, because once again, it's all about getting in the playoffs, man. That's where the cash is for the conference, all these things. So it's about getting into the 12-team playoff, and getting yourself to 10 wins is pretty much guaranteed to go into that thing. So that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the show. There's no reason for Ohio State to come play Notre Dame in 2030, just if they schedule. There's none. It doesn't gain them anything. So it's all about winning your conference. You win your conference, you're a top 4. You get a bye.
Yeah.
But real quick, I was watching one of those national podcast shows the other day, and I had no idea that the 12 teams only for 2 years, 24-25.
That's it.
24-25.
And then
I don't know if it's 26. And once again, I could be wrong. It could be 2 years, 3 years. But the TV contract ends, and now there's a big push for all these ads. Like, well, let's go to 16 and one versus 16. So it's about getting home games. So Georgia's the number one team in the country. They don't get a home game, but 1 versus 16, they'll blast that team. But they want that home game revenue. Now that's the hype coming from some of these. Was that Feinbaum? It was somebody. It was a couple days ago. I was watching a show in the background talking about that. And so it's only really for a couple of years. So, yeah.
Like a couple of years, then a trial. It's like a trial period, then see what they
want
to
do. I think the TV contract ends. If someone knows that, you know. But I think it's just 2 years. Because remember, they've rushed this to get up into that thing.
Yeah.
The Super Conference, obviously you got the two biggies, and then it's.
The thing is about Notre Dame is they're the belle of the ball. So it's like, oh man, Notre Dame's independent. What if we don't have room? Like, what if the SEC doesn't want us? Come on. Notre Dame's the belle of the ball. They are just,
Oh, yeah. No matter what. Yeah, if they went to the Big Ten, SEC,
those would.
The place. They're
have Notre Dame.
It'd be huge atmospheres, huge games.
Are you kidding me? Notre Dame, Alabama, Notre Dame, Florida, Notre Dame, LSU.
Yeah.
Or Big Ten, Notre Dame, Wisconsin. If you're Notre Dame, I don't know. I'm fine with honestly anything as long as Notre Dame's playing football. I'm good. A couple comments real quick.
Yeah.
We always need this comment. Can we just have this comment? Well, we just need one every single show. Michigan sucks.
Oh.
That's the comment. Then real quick, going back to the Keon Keeley, Peyton Bowen discussion. He says, to close the gap, we need Keon and Bowen. You both know that. If you tell me the sky is green and I tell you it's blue, and then you say, well, Mike, it's about the rain. Sure, that's a different discussion, though. Like, we're just talking about how important commitments are, not how good they are to the future. Like, this is a totally different discussion. But
what if Keon Keeley's the next Jordan Johnson? You don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. You don't know. So the recruiting rankings, no one likes to talk rankings until we talk rankings. So
no one likes
stars don't matter, yet they obviously do matter when you're looking at the teams that win. So
I think the term star, it's the matter thing that bothers me.
What do you mean, stars? You know what, Mike? They do. In Notre Dame's, stars do matter. If Notre Dame signs, we could save this for another show down the road. I've been starting to look at all the 3 stars Notre Dame has signed.
Talent matters. It's talent matters, but yeah, it's obvious. Like, yeah, obviously the most talented guys.
There's always a couple 3 stars. Like, obviously, heck, the linebackers. You got Leofow Kaiser starting, so obviously their 3 stars are starting. Cam Hart's a 3-star; he's starting. But man, the odds of a lot of 3 stars playing are just low.
Yeah, because there's over like 1,000 of them. Yeah, so no crap. And then the 5 stars, there's 30 of them, and they are the ones who are 6'8", 350-pound offensive tackles that, were bench pressing 400 pounds when they were 6 years old. Like, yeah, like some of these 5 stars are the most obvious ones. So to me, it's like, yeah, Charles Powers on 3 I think he does a really good job. And there's been all this, after the draft, like, oh, let's now look at the recruiting. That's all fine. But sure. To me, it's not the stars. It's not like, oh, you have a 5-star ranking, you're going to be good in college, because a lot of times you're not. To me, it's just the talent. Like, the talent is what shows through in college. And I don't know. I just don't.
But the star, man, I'm telling you, for some reason, I've talked about this with Notre Dame offensive line. Notre Dame offensive line have only started a couple 3 stars in the last 10, 15 years.
I'm pretty sure, Tim, you said earlier in this show something about when you get to college, that stuff doesn't matter. I want to say you said that.
Obviously, I'm talking about the film. You got to show up and play. So Jeremiah Love racing for 75 yards at Christian Brothers. You still got to show up and
yeah, that's the thing. I think people just that term, stars matter. Like, I just don't like I don't like the term but it's kind of semantic.
When we talk about this 1/3 rule, the old loose emoji thing, it is massive with 3 stars at Notre Dame. So, I mean, there's some years where Notre Dame has signed double digits and 3 stars, and only a third of them have ever gotten on the field. So, if you're loading up, which knock on wood, that's not the case in this 2024 class where Notre Dame's already got 5, 6, 3 stars. And if they get up to 10, the odds are 3 make it, 7 of them are done. Well, we'll never even have a shot at Notre Dame. So I don't know. For some reasons, they do matter. The guy says Joel. Joel technically was a 4-star consensus. Can we finally just say that he was a 4-star consensus? When you all the things into one, people always say, "Oh, Joel was a 3-star," and Joel didn't play, and Joel only got on the field because 3 guys got hurt.
All right. We're gonna have to cut a couple talks because Tim, I got a lot of other work items to get to tonight. Good old Coaches on the Road article Singer's got to do, and I got an important personal matter in the morning. So Notre Dame versus the SEC. We're talking a lot about Notre Dame and the SEC today. After we even planned the show, Davion Dixon, Notre Dame's first commitment in the 2025 recruiting class, little old 3-star, picks up an offer from the defending champs, back-to-back, the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't know. Someone asked me on the board, like, Mike, do you still think he sticks? I like when he commits, everyone's like, oh, this is just going to be the next Brandon Davis-Swain, right? First commit, who is a defensive lineman, ironically enough, who just kind of does an impromptu commitment at the blue gold game. Like, oh, he's not going to stick. But my kind of thing was like, look, the kid's on Twitter thanking every single person who tweets at him to thank him or congratulate him for his commitment. Like, this kid just seems a little different to me. But does he end up sticking with Notre Dame over, all the offers he's about to get? I have no idea. But just seems like a kid, Notre Dame kid. So, but yeah, Georgia offering Notre Dame 2025 defensive line commit Davion Dixon. Tim, do you have any reaction to this?
Number one, I love it. I love it because now you get that on the young man's resume. So he does stick. You got a Notre Dame signee, obviously, with the Georgia Bulldog offer on there, which is just awesome to see for him. So, I mean, God, we're talking 2025. Notre Dame's got half a class to fill up for this year, for crying out loud, and maybe even more. But yeah, no, it's the spring evaluation. Notre Dame, once again, going back to the pot of gold. This is when you start to evaluate these kids. Is in the spring. Notre Dame just jumpstarts that in the middle of on St. Patty's Day. That's all this is. Notre Dame does it. You do spring football, then you go on the road. So they're getting ahead of everyone really by a month, 5 weeks before everyone gets on the road. So that's really what it is. It's a spring evaluation. Notre Dame has it. It's not like Notre Dame, all of a sudden they've offered and committed. He shuts off communications. Teams are still going to go down there. Like we said 15 minutes ago, you get a guy out of Florida, you get a guy out of SEC country who's going to Notre Dame. People are going to start knocking on doors up in those coaches' office like, hey, what's going on here? So, and he's a good football player. We talked about him before. He's a good football player. He's got a lot of great traits that a lot of Notre Dame players have had in the past.
All right. Just one more comment before we got to get out of here. All right. I really do need to think about this. And we'll spend some time talking about it next show. But it's so this is a fine comment. Domer Wap says, data would suggest stars do matter. There's been analysis to assess the impact of high school stars and ultimate success to the NFL. But Tim, it's kind of like, this is how, as I saw this comment, I'm thinking about this. It's like, if someone says a stat, well, if you're trailing by 2 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter on the road, you are going to fail or lose 98% of the time, whatever.
Yeah.
You play the damn game, though. You play the game. Like, that's what it is to me. It's not like this is like your stars are going to tell you what you are at the next level. That's just not what it is. Are you more likely to make the NFL based on the stars? Sure. But again, that goes back to my thing. It's who's the most talented, right? I mean, it's
I hear you. I mean, I hear you. When you say they matter, it's basically I know. I mean, the term stars do matter. Yeah, they do, but matter is basically saying, well, if you're not a full 5 or 4, you're worthless, which is, as we know, is
Yeah.
it's not true because there are plenty of those. Somebody put up here talking about Luke, Kuechly, who went under recruited, goes to BC and going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But there's tons of guys like that in the
Yeah,
NFL.
and then for every Luke
Also,
Kuechly,
Peyton,
there's 600 others who don't make it,
exactly. And there's plenty of 5-star busts, plenty of the top 100. Top 100 doesn't mean it's 100% you're all going, but
yeah.
all about that term I like to use, just stacking, right? Compounding classes, man. If you got I was looking at Georgia's roster today, man, and they
Don't
got
do that.
so
Just
many. I know. Why am I doing that? It's like, as I'm just trying to look at rosters, trying to look at playoff type teams, and it's like, yeah, they got 8, 5, and 4 stars at linebacker. So guess what? It's going to work out. Some will not work out, and some will work out. So
listen, Domer Wap, I feel like you're not listening to me, man. Like I understand all your points. Do you understand mine? Like I sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to a brick wall. Like Domer Wap, are you listening to me? Like I get that because they're the teams winning the national championship have the best players.
yeah,
That it like I don't like I think we just focus on stars. Going back to what I said earlier about Notre Dame offering Isaiah Canyon when he was a 0-star. If we just stamped it, boom, done. 0-star. This is a terrible take. You're like, there's so much more that you're missing out on, right? Because the stars will move, when he's a 0-star now, he's a 4-star then. So, like, it's about talent. The teams with the most talent will win the national championship. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. Troll Sniper. A very ironic username because he is being the opposite of a troll here. Their point is just that it's more nuanced than stars. That's 100%. You guys know I'm a big context guy. Data points. I love my data points. Stars are just a little data point among many other things. Man, you get me worked up. This has been a good show, Tim. A good show for a May random Wednesday in May.
Exactly. We had no idea what to do 12 hours ago. And but look at the quarterback, Mike, right? Sam Hartman, Stephen Jelly, right? They're both 3-star guys, right? I mean, Sam Hartman. Obviously, I don't follow. I mean, he committed 9-10 years ago, so I really didn't follow his commitment.
Tim, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I'm just assuming he was a 3, right? So you got Angeli's a 3, and those are your 2 Notre Dame quarterbacks.
Yeah, there's 3-star.
And Jelly ranked higher. Look at that. Wasn't he in the 600s, right? Stephen Jelly. So
I
believe so.
Let's have the correct staff look this up real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN loved him. Number 179 overall player, top 10 quarterback in the country, but yeah, everyone else had him as a 3-star. When we were at Rivals and they dropped him, I was so mad. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. But
it's all good. Stars matter when you have a lot of them, right?
But then, yeah, Notre Dame player stars move in the opposite direction. Except for, Charles Jagusah got bumped to a 5-star on 3. Jalen Sneed after Notre Dame commitments. That's just the thing. Like, we always will focus on the drops, but not the rises. It happens all of the time. All of the time, Notre Dame's players get bumped. But what's all do we want to talk about is just CJ Carr getting dropped. That's the only thing we'll talk about. But we'll never talk about the guys who rise. Come on.
Mike, one of the little hidden great things about On3 is, you can go on other message boards and read some of this stuff. I got to find you the screenshot and I'll send it to you. But fans on other sites are saying the same thing. Oh my God, all our guys are dropping how is everyone dropping like flies and no one's moving up? I literally saw that over the weekend when I was just hanging out, just doing a little bit of research. And I was like, oh, there you go. So a lot of fans are saying the same thing. So not everyone's dropping Jeremiah Love finished in the top 100. He was not a top 100 back 6 months prior. In the consensus he was not a top 100 national prospect.
I don't remember.
Not at all. So a lot of guys moved up. A lot of guys, they moved down. Who cares? Go win some games.
Yeah. Is it Domer guy?
Yeah.
Domer Wap says I'm a mathematician. Domer guy, but what you need to understand, like with the math of it is, you're only gonna have a few guys move up, and just a few guys move up in a rank. You know, let's say 20 of the top 300 guys are moving up. Like they're moving up 20 more spots. For 20 guys to move up, that means the other players who are kind of static in their rankings, like on threes or 24/7 arrivals, whoever, they're thinking, well, we kind of feel the same about him. What are they going to do if they're not moving up? They're dropping. Like it's just kind of how it works.
Well,
Like
that's CJ Carr. I mean, CJ Carr was a bigger known entity a year ago, and now some of these other quarterbacks, as they've evaluated, they butt ahead. But CJ Carr, his number hasn't dropped, his power rating or whatever.
Yeah, the actual ranking as a recruit, but yeah,
it's always the same. But yeah, you put in 20 more guys, he's going to drop. So
yeah, so yeah, that's the whole other point. So yeah, if we look at his grade here on three is a 91, that hasn't changed ever, but it's just this right here, this national ranking, and then the position rankings. That's like I kind of wish this just was gone. I just wish they would get rid of it, or just at least the national rankings, the quarterback rank. Like, who cares where CJ Carr stacks up against a safety? Like, I don't care. I just care more about the quarterback. But that's we are.
That's another fun show. We could talk about the 24 quarterbacks and where he falls amongst the top 12. Right.
There's some good show. This has been a fun show. The interaction, I like talking with you guys, and now this isn't just me and Tim yelling at each other. We get to bring you guys in. We'll disagree, and I mean, it's a good back and forth. I only block the trolls in our chat, and Troll Sniper tells me that he hunts out the trolls. So that was a common misconception by me. So yeah. I do appreciate it, everybody. Yeah, fun show. Hope you guys watching back and listening via podcast enjoyed it as well. Always like to recommend to get in the YouTube chat live with us if you are able to. We each Wednesday at 8 p.m. except for next Wednesday. I have a personal matter to attend to, and Tim does as well. So kind of Tim was gonna have to get a sitter, and now he doesn't have to. So Tim, I hope you have a good night with your with your kids that night. But that's gonna wrap up this week's show. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and we still left out a couple topics that we were gonna get to. It's just a great show.
Fun show.
Appreciate you everyone for tuning in, and as always, we will catch you next time.